Alright, welcome to Just Magic the Gathering. I was looking at a certain point to do a pack opening video. I'm not sure how much interest or people seem to traditionally not watch or care for these, so the one reason I guess I continue part of it is that is how I grind my tokens, and the transparency partially into that. But I do like opening the packs and reading the cards, or finding new cards like Overgrown Tomb. It's a pain land. There are some pain lands out of the new set. It enters tapped. You may pay 2 life if you don't, and I just now have a extra rare green-black pain land. That's actually nice. Chosen by Valgoth. It's a rare enchantment. 2/2 for each aura and enchantment attached to it. This is the... yeah, I've seen this one used before. Gets for each aura and enchantment attached to it. There's another one that does +1/+1 for all enchantments under your control. And all damage dealt to you would be dealt to enchanted creature instead. So damage redirect. I already have one. Raiding Schemes. Green, red. For each non-creature spell you cast, you can conspire. Conspire. As long as you cast a spell with Conspire, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control that share a color with it. When you do, you can copy it, and you may choose new targets for that copy. I can see that working fairly well in like a cheap green deck. And that way you can like double your lightning and stuff. You could do some interesting things for that. Flying and Wither. And I already have it actually, the Spine Rock Tyrant. And it's a mythic out of Lorwyn. The end goal here is to get some tokens and maybe finish off like my mill deck, or there's a couple options I have for spending tokens. Synthesizer, Lab Ship. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, up to one other target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base, toughness, and power of 2/2 and gains flying until end of turn. And you can only station as a sorcery, right? Tap another creature you control, put a charge counter on this spacecraft equal to its power. Station only as a sorcery. And at 9 stations, it becomes a flying vigilance with 4/4. The Severance Priest. Yeah, have one of those. When this creature enters, target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. If you do, exile that card. When this creature leaves the battlefield, the exiled card's owner creates a XX spirit creature token where X is the mana value of the exiled card. So it's, let me look at your hand, I can exile a card, and then if they can kill this, they don't get it back, they just get a 1/1 creature without any, or not a 1/1, a XX, without any abilities. The White Lotus Tile. I have one of those, and it's unfortunately not a great mythic. Other tapped creatures you control have indestructible. That's interesting. Because they tap to attack normally, or if they're tapped, they can't be destroyed. I like the looks of that. Chronicle of Victory. As Chronicle of Victory enters, choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +2/+2 and have first strike and trample. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, draw a card. That would work well in like my bat deck, or I mean you have to almost like put it into like a priest deck or a warrior deck. But that's huge for 6. Achievement unlocked. Gold Meadow Nomad. Exile this card from your graveyard, create a 1/1 green and white Kithkin creature token. Activate only as a sorcery. Once again, probably apologize for butchering most of these names. You can put 2 -1/-1 counter on each creature. Black can be mean, because you can put a -1/-1 counter on all creatures. This is 2 for all creatures for 4. Flying and Wither. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell with a single target, you may copy it. If you do, those spells gain Wither. You may create new targets for those copies. I have one of those, and I remember thinking I almost have to look up the text because that reads a little weird or odd to me. When this creature enters, create a 1/1 black and red goblin token. Yeah, I had that in my Phantom Jump In. As an additional cost to the spell, behold Kithkin or pay 2. Whenever another creature you control enters, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. The Flame Chain Mauler. You can pump him as a +1/+0 and Menace for 2. A Changeling. I'm actually starting to get a few Changelings. Crib Swap. There has to be a bunch of Changelings in the new set. Exile target creature. Its controller creates a 1/1 colorless shapeshifter creature token. So you give up a change. You give... Oh, that's interesting. It's not a creature. It's just it's white kill, but you give them a 1/1 back. I don't know. It's odd. Grub. Storied Matriarch. Menace. When this creature enters, transform into Grub Storied Matriarch. When this creature enters or transforms, so it flips back and forth. Return up to 1 target goblin from your graveyard to your hand. At the beginning of your first main phase, you may pay 1 if you do transform it. So 1 red will get you to the Auntie, and 1 more will get you back to the Matriarch. And as the Auntie, whenever it attacks, you may blight 1. If you do, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of the blighted creature, except it has, at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this token. Not really sure how much I like that. I just like Mobilize better, I guess. Alright. Rooftop Perch. Like the art. Changeling flying. When this creature enters, exile up to 2 target cards from graveyards, and you gain 3 life. 5 for a 3/3 isn't great, though. Blossoming Bind. Enchant creature. When this aura enters, tap enchanted creature. Enchanted creature can't become untapped and can't have counters put on it. That's handy blue control. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, draw a card. I like a lot of the blue draw. Convoke. Choose creature type, draw a card for each permanent you control of that type. Conditionally, it's, not as good. Or in my opinion, I should say. Boom, boom, boom. And one thing I did notice, the actual chance that this is going to be a mythic is really low. Or it depends on really low. It was like 1 in 8.5. But it's the actual number's pretty low. This creature enters with a -1/-1 counter on it. Remove a counter from this creature. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, planeswalker, you draw a card. This creature enters, so it's a 1/1 that comes with a -1/-1 counter. For 3, you can remove counter from it. And when you do, the controller deals combat damage to a player. Remove Whenever a creature you control deals damage, this creature... Interesting, so all your creatures get it for 3, but you have to have a counter on it to remove. So it works with the blight. I'm just wondering where I actually saw... It was somewhere in the store that it told me the actual rate on the pack, and it wasn't... Yeah, 1 in 30 mythic wildcard for each pack. So, pretty sure that's definitely under the... Yeah, 1 in 30. And that's where the mythic packs have the guaranteed. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, did that once, and unfortunately, basically all of these are going to be new for me. It's just questioning the legitimacy of taking this off. Some of these aren't new. Because since they're alchemy, they have some of the basics in them. Flamekin, Guildweaver. Whenever this creature enters, create a treasure token. As these are commons, they're sorted by rarity, and the commons are obviously not going to be as nice. Whenever this creature enters or dies, surveil 1. I've seen a lot of people using that, though. Flying, when this creature enters, target creature gains flying until end of turn, basic lands cycling. Normally it's like island cycling or swamp cycling. Basic land cycling is interesting. It's expensive. Yeah, I'm not sure how much I like that. It's like a 3-way card, though. Lifelink, this creature enters, mill 2 cards. Flying, when this creature enters, surveil 1. A changeling. Prideful, feastling. A 2/3 lifelink that's red-black. I like the looks of that. And it's a common. A 3 for a 2/3 that has lifelink. Flash, when this equipment enters, attached to target creature you control, that creature gains wither until end of turn. Equipped creature gets +1/+2. Vivid. And this is... It costs 1 less to cast for each color among permanents you control. It's a 6/5 reach trample. Enraged Flamecaster. Reach. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, this creature deals 2 damage to each opponent. So that starts doing direct damage as a creature with reach. When you start bringing in big stuff. Kind of like that. Whenever this creature enters or attacks, you may blight 2. If you do, draw a card and lose 1 life. I could see where that would work fairly well with, like, if you have another creature when you take off its blight counters, you can keep putting the blight counters back on. Because there are some interesting mechanics for wither. Convoke. 1 or 2 target creatures each get +1/+2/0. Take 3. +2/+1 until end of turn. Changeling. During your turn, this creature has first strike. When this creature enters or dies, surveil 1. That's interesting. That's the same one that I had back there earlier. And same with this one. Some of these I've already started to see duplicates of. Volatile Rift. When this creature is a card you put into your hand from... Whenever a creature is put into your hand from your library, it perpetually gets +X/+0, where X is the number of colors among permanents you control. So, not my World Weave, but my Hardened Bond. That would pair perfectly with my Hardened Bond. But you almost have to split the colors. Opulent Clomper. Opulent Clomper's power and toughness are each equal to the number of colors among permanents you control. At the beginning of your upkeep, if this creature isn't all colors, it becomes a random color that isn't in addition to its other colors. So this transforms into a 5-color creature in 5 rounds. That's kind of handy. That's actually really handy. When this artifact enters, conjure a card named Ponder. Ponder, look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put them back in any order. You may shuffle. Draw a card. So if you don't like anything you saw, you can shuffle. That's interesting. I like that, for one. Whenever one or more merfolk you control deal combat damage to a player, sacrifice this artifact. If you do, conjure a card named Flooded Stand. Just trying to remember how... There we go. And you get a land out of it. Pay 1 life, sacrifice this land, search your library for a planar island card. Put it on the battlefield tapped. So for 1 life, you can go land hunting. All right. Devoted Druid. Tap to add 1 green, put a -1/-1 counter on this creature, untap this creature. I'm not sure how much I like that. Elvish Elegy. Mill 3 cards, then each creature card in your graveyard perpetually gets +1/+1. You may put an elf or land card from among the milled cards into your hand. I'm not sure how much I like reanimation decks, or I should look to build one. It's one of the things that my mill deck is susceptible to. I put half your stuff in your graveyard, and then this becomes really powerful. Especially if I have another card that's just like, oh, pull it all back out. And yeah, I have seen a few of these now. Reflection Ramekin. When this creature enters, you get 1-time boon with when you cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value 3 or less, copy it. I like that. Putrid Hexhag. Whenever 1 or more counters are put on this creature, target creature an opponent controls perpetually gains. When this creature dies, you lose 1 life. Nice. Well, in a way, like, it's conditional on the counters, but you can act like, now when I kill your creatures, it does you more damage. Anything that puts, like, your loss to even more loss is good, in my opinion. The Caterous Stomp. Caterous Stomp deals 3 damage to target creature an opponent controls. Each other creature that player controls becomes a coward in addition to its other types. And gains, this creature can't block giants or warriors. I really like that. That would work in my mobilized deck basically perfectly. It's a warrior deck. Or when my creatures that summon in are warriors. Mobilize in. Thought Weft's Call. Choose one. Seek a Kithkin card at the beginning of your next end step. If that card is in your hand, exile it. So you have to be able to play it. Cards in your hand perpetually get +1/+1. One to put +1/+1 counters on everything in your hand is pretty nice. When this artifact enters, seek a creature card of the most prevalent creature type in your library. Add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell. I like that for my Seek deck. It's an artifact. I really like that for my Seek deck. Reach when this creature enters. Forest and Tree Fork card in your hand perpetually gain tap to get 2. Yeah, I like that. And I actually got 3 of the Caterus Stomps and 2 of the Adherent Heirlooms. Alright, and then my nice cards, and then I'll basically call it. I was wondering if I should open my last 2 and finish off my ring, but this is taking a while as these are all new cards. Vigilance, when this creature enters, draft a card from the Adaptive Armor spellbook and put it onto the battlefield. When an equipment enters this way, attach it to target creature you control. And you get a lot of options for your spellbook. So you randomly get 3 of these, and then you can choose one. Adaptive Armorer. 10 to the Kiln. 10 to the Kiln. When this enchantment enters, all non-elemental instant and sorcery cards you own permanently become elemental kindreds, in addition to their other types. Whenever you cast an elemental spell, put a flame counter on this enchantment. Then if it has 3 or more flame counters on it, remove them and conjure a card named Flame Braider onto the battlefield, and it gains haste. And at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice this creature. So you can tap to add mana in any combination of colors, add 2 mana. Spend this mana only to cast elemental spells or activate abilities of elemental sources. Or you can just attack for the 2/2. Interesting. Kithkin. Brinefarer. Whenever a Kithkin card is put into your hand from your library, conjure a duplicate of that card into your hand. Whenever you attack, Kithkin creature cards in your hand perpetually get +1/+1. I like the looks of that, or going back to building a Kithkin deck. So every time you would draw one, like, oh, I just drew a Kithkin, I duplicated it, and all my cards now get +1/+1. Trample and Haste. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library. It perpetually becomes an artifact if it's a non-land permanent card. Until end of turn, you may play the exiled card. Tap to sacrifice an artifact, add 3 mana of any color. Whenever a creature I was just wondering if how that would work. Because you only get it to trigger once per turn. I don't see there's any way you can get that to trigger more than once per turn. But I kind of like it. It's like I get to start playing your stuff. The best strategy in the book is whatever you were probably trying to use against me. Flying Double Team. Whenever you cast a spell during an opponent's turn, draft a card from Tough Steel Sprite's spellbook. then discard a card. This ability triggers only once. And there's a lot of cards in the book. And it looks like they're basically all fairies. It's like a fairy spell book. Interesting. I was, a long time ago, looking at potentially building a fairy deck. Arcadian Struggle. Seek X cards that each share a color with one or more permanents you control, where X is the number of colors among permanents you control. For each color among permanents you control, those cards perpetually gain. These cost one less. In fact, I like that for my Seek deck too, and it's in the right colors. The first Merfolk spell you cast each turn has Convoke. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, conjure a card named Stony Brook Schoolmaster into the battlefield tapped. Stony Brook Schoolmaster, whenever this creature becomes tapped, you may create a 1/1 blue Merfolk creature token, wizard creature token. Another 10 the Kelm. Infestation. When this creature enters, conjure a card named Blowfly Infestation onto the battlefield. Then put a -1/-1 counter onto each creature. Whenever this creature dies, if it had a -1/-1 counter on it, put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. Evoke. You may cast it for its evoke cost, but if you do, it's sacrificed. If you do, it's sacrificed when it enters the battlefield. So you can bring it in cheaper and get the -1/-1 to everything early if you wanted. And it has Wither, so it deals its damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters, so it can actually get through things with indestructibility. That's pretty nice. And a mythic wildcard token. So, yeah. With that, I am up to 15 uncommons, 5 rares, and 3 mythic rares. I think I will call that good for now. I was actually wondering about what to spend my tokens on. I have been trying to build out my Seeker deck, and I don't need 1 uncommon, 5 rares, and 4 mythics to finish that out, which is a little outside of my budget. It's only like 1 rare to finish this one, and 2 rares and 2 mythics to finish this one. I think with the Brawling Shrines it's going to hold up better. I don't know. And I also want to rework my Seeker deck to be with some of the new Seek cards, because that can definitely make it cheaper earlier, potentially. 2 of those mythic cards I'm looking for are the fish, which is kind of part of the core, I think, of the mechanic of the Seek deck. But yeah, I don't know. With that, I'm going to take it offline or think about it for a bit and look forward to spending some tokens in the future.